Hello, everybody, and welcome back to part 4 of Top Row Reality. I'm Mike Hogan
here, but I'm Justin Carter,
and our special guest here,
the Gargoyle.
And let's talk about. We're going to finish up talking about WrestleMania 31. 9 big matches.
9 big matches.
Surprise, got 9
but
matches.
all they're saying is it's a glorified Monday Night Raw. They're saying that nothing is special.
We're going over them, and we're pretty much going to call them the way we see them, and probably going to turn out the way we said.
More than likely, most of the time we do pretty good.
Oh yeah. Well, let's start off with John Cena versus Rusev for the United States Championship.
I say Cena's winning that.
I say Cena's winning because it's USA. He's going to be the USA, good old USA. He's got enough of the Russia. USA all the way.
I'm going to buck the trend, and I'm going to say Cena's going to lose, and Rusev is going to keep that title.
That would be a shock.
That would be a shocker. It would be good. It would be good for Rusev's character.
It would.
And
because if he loses John Cena,
he's done.
He's done.
Here's what I'm afraid of: that they ruin the whole thing. He loses to Cena, and then Lana's off doing the movie,
But she's supposed to be there though.
But what if they say, okay, we won't have you come out there with him, so then Monday Night on Raw, she shows up with him, and he turns on her and blames her for the fact that he lost. You ruin another good thing.
I mean, he could do that anyway with her being there.
That's true, but you ruin another good thing right there, just like with the whole Shield and Wyatt family.
Yeah, but WWE, so.
It's kind of like any team that Sonny had. Without that team, without Sonny, the team didn't matter. And I think the same thing. I mean, Rusev's
Except
good.
the Road Warriors.
Of course, yes. But I think with Rusev, it's kind of the same thing. What do they want to see when Rusev comes out? The ravishing Russian.
Yep.
Yes.
That apparently has a picture going around online with an American flag, which is very funny.
It's on our
It is on one of our videos. It's pretty funny.
Nice.
Yes.
Just like her butt.
Hey, there you go.
I got to see it firsthand right in front there in Biloxi on SmackDown.
She does have a very nice look.
She was ravishing indeed.
Number 6, the Intercontinental title ladder match with Bad News Barrett defending and more than likely losing against Dean Ambrose, Daniel Bryan, Dolph, Stardust, R-Truth. Why are you here? Luke Harper, and that's only 7 people. It needs to be 8.
I think it will be one more.
I honestly believe, I understand where they're going with the Sheamus thing. I just wish they wouldn't have said, screw the whole feud with Stardust and Goldust, and I think Goldust would have been a good hand to be in the ladder match.
Yeah, it would have made sense. Oh, excuse me, we're talking about WWE, right?
Yep. So I can tell you who the next guy is going to be.
Who's that?
It's going to be me.
That's going to be you in that ladder match. I hear you.
Yep. Exclusive right here.
That's right.
Nowhere else.
Nowhere else. You're going to hear it here.
So definitely you want to buy it now for $9.99.
That's
Come on.
That is true.
Yep. I just signed my contract yesterday with Vinnie Mac. Strictly for a one deal, one match WrestleMania glorified ladder match moment.
There you go.
And you know what my pay is going to be?
What?
$9.99. And a case of Heineken, baby.
There you go.
Just hopefully whoever wins the Intercontinental title doesn't share the same fate of every Intercontinental champion.
Like Luke Harper, Bad News Barrett, and the rest of them.
Dolph. I mean, yeah, you got
And there's another guy who's kind of been wasted away is Wade Barrett.
But I'll say this, though. Every time he's gotten the belt, he's gotten hurt. He kind of probably needs to stay away from title belts.
And ladder matches.
Ladder matches. Probably not a good idea. That's the same thing that kind of makes me nervous about Daniel Bryan. Just come back from injury, and we're throwing him in a ladder match, the most dangerous match they have, because they don't do Elimination Chamber anymore. That's
but
I
think he figures that he's safe.
I mean, if he's a great performer, so he knows how to work around things. But it just kind of makes me nervous, especially with how simple of a move happened to the Rey Mysterio match.
Right.
Anything can happen. That's kind of scary to me.
I'd be scary too, especially because where's Daniel Bryan's injured to? The neck.
Right, exactly. But honestly, we know Stardust ain't gonna win this belt. R-Truth wouldn't win it. Luke Harper has had nothing going on. I don't think he'd win it. If anybody wins,
it's the 3 Ds.
Dolph, Daniel, Dean, exactly.
Yeah,
no pun intended because the Dudleys ain't there.
And once again, I was bummed that they broke up Goldust and Stardust. I was loving them as a tag team, man. It was
a good
great.
tag team. Yeah.
It was great.
I mean, I like the feud. Because we were watching
We were watching it on the network after
Sure.
we filmed one night.
watching the fast lane on
It
the
was
road.
great, and when after the match, it was like, was that a mistake by the referee? Was that meant to happen because it was like a weird count? But then after the match,
The
they
backstage,
did the
yeah.
whole backstage thing with Dusty Stardust telling Dusty that his daddy's dead and all this stuff, and attacking Goldust. I'm like, okay, we're going somewhere with this. This is great. WrestleMania 1-on-1, and then they throw him in the ladder match and throw Goldust in the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
They thought this wasn't getting over. I'm sorry. Where were you at when you were watching your own show?
Obviously, they weren't watching.
Nope. And that
That must have been their P
because
break.
this would have been a good match.
Of
Brother
course.
versus brother.
But you'll like what we tell you to like.
That's true.
That's right.
That should be their new slogan.
That's true.
Give it time.
It'll happen.
Sorry, I'm trademarking that before you can.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you get your money. Yes.
That's right.
The next match, or number 7 on the card, will be Triple H versus Sting. And I think Sting's taking the WrestleMania win.
I completely agree with that. I mean, you were saying you would be surprised that if Triple H didn't win it. I
Yeah.
thought he would.
Yes. Just strictly from, once again, as we said, being who he is, and this is not taking anything away from his abilities in the ring because he's earned everything he's got.
Right.
Did it help slipping in the back door to Stephanie McMahon? And
No
there?
pun intended on the back door.
No, actually, it
No.
was. But
Okay, it was. There you go.
being the sick deviant that I am. But,
It
know,
definitely helped.
sure,
Of course it helped.
but and being part of the clique, he paid for that. So, but being who he is and knowing the ego that he has, I just find it really hard to believe that he's going to put Sting over, especially with Vinnie Mac's, vendetta against WCW and all that stuff.
Right.
Everything WCW got shit on that's came in
Absolutely.
to the WWE, with the exception of Booker T.
Which he kind of did, though.
Yeah,
They made him look horrible against The Rock. Of course he had fun doing this whole thing, but Stone
Sure.
Cold beat the mess out of him in the daggum supermarket. And then, of course, they made him look horrible against Triple H at
Right.
WrestleMania for the
But
belt.
he is no Sting.
He is no Sting.
Sting will get the win for WCW at WWE's biggest show.
That's his King Booker is better than Sting.
I do love King Buckeye.
I love
King
King
Booker.
Booker.
No,
He tried to do the same
Hunter,
thing at TNA.
Hunter
That's bad.
sees where it needs to be. He knew the
I hope
WCW
so.
thing. And listen, you won the war. You own WCW.
Right.
Giving them a win is giving you a win.
Right, consolation prize, and you're still
No.
making money. I mean, I wonder how good the Sting gear is selling right now. I mean, they got to be making money off of that right now. But I mean that's what I think Sting will win. I mean, I don't think he would have signed on the dotted line if he knew he was losing to Triple H. But at the same time, you talk about Triple H's ego. I was looking at his record, and I mean, I may not be quoting it right, but I know that he actually has lost more than he's won.
He's 8-10.
8-10. I knew it was like 9 and 10, something like that. 8 and 10. I think it'll
Which will be on the
8 and 11.
countdown. Real
But
soon.
you also got to look there and see who he dropped his matches to.
True, and 3 of them was the Undertaker, because he wrestled Undertaker
And
3
Ultimate
times.
Warrior.
And the Ultimate Warrior when he was still getting crapped on at the time.
Right.
So I mean that's 4 of them right there. So I mean, and when Sheamus needed a win at WrestleMania, he beat Sheamus even though he was friends with him.
Right.
So I guess you got to look at the situation. So, but his record shows that he does lose more at WrestleMania.
We shall see. We shall
That
see.
is true.
Up next, Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt.
Still split on this. It's still confusing.
Will he get the win back, or will Bray get the win he deserves?
I'm hoping
I'm hoping for Bray to get the win he deserves. I think Undertaker sees it too. Undertaker's done everything he can do. Why not put Bray up one step closer?
And that's why I have the distinct feeling that Bray is going to get the win, because Undertaker, through his whole tenure in the WWE, has always done what's best for the WWE.
Yes.
Sacrificing his own stature in the company, because to me, he should have held that belt more than he's had. He's only had it, 3 times maybe?
I think so.
2 or 3 times?
Not very many, yeah.
I mean, and you've got turds on that roster that
Yes.
have held that world title more than The Undertaker.
Yes.
So that's why I'm thinking that Bray's going to get the win, because Undertaker will do what's right for business. They already took the streak
Right.
away from him. He's already going to go in the Hall of Fame.
Of course.
What else? What else has he got left?
And we're not going to see 21 and 2 unless Bray uses it to get over more as a heel.
Right.
They're not gonna put that up when if Bray
Yeah,
wins.
I don't think so.
Bray wins, Undertaker can disappear.
I mean, because they haven't
Disappear.
talked about the streak
Literally
at all.
disappear. He can disappear in the middle of the ring.
Right. They haven't talked about the streak at all, so I don't
No.
think they're going to put that over. But another fun fact about the titles that Undertaker has held, do you know that he has never walked in to WrestleMania as the champion? Ever.
No, I did not.
He beat Sid for the belt.
Learn something new today.
He beat Sid for the belt. He beat Edge for the belt. And I think he beat one other person for the belt. But he has never walked in and out as champion. He's only walked out as champion.
You know,
That's a good way to do it.
another
Yes, it is. I mean-
another interesting thing that I would, this would be kind of a dream for me. Bray Wyatt gets the win, and the Undertaker joins Bray Wyatt, kind of like a mentor. You
That would
know,
be neat.
he gets back to that dark, creepy side with Bray
You have a
Wyatt.
heel
being-
Undertaker versus face Sting at 32.
That would be cool too. Kind of like the Ministry of Darkness Sting.
Exactly.
That was one of my favorite. I mean, not Sting.
Undertaker.
Ministry of Darkness
I know what you
Undertaker.
mean, yes.
That was
we knew what
always-
you mean. Everybody knew, yes.
That was always one of my favorite
That would
Undertakers.
be different.
You know, and he can also, you know, be like mentoring Bray, so to speak, in the ways of the dark side. You know,
And you know
then-
they could film that where Undertaker doesn't have to be there every week. They could
Exactly.
do a bunch of filming ahead of time where they
You're
do.
thinking too much, you know
That's
that.
true.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, you know, are in obscure locations somewhere they could film
That's what
like.
kills us when we think it's so much
Right.
good crap and it never happens.
It never happens because we don't write for them because we're a bunch of marks. But
We're not so
it is what it is. And then the
I would
final
love,
match.
I love it. Undertaker Bray together?
Yes. I mean,
throw in Dean Ambrose there and get that good psycho crazy clan going. Oh yeah, baby.
because the Undertaker, he got mentored by, of course, storyline-wise, by Paul Bearer and everything, bringing him up and putting him over. Undertaker now giving back to the business,
Exactly.
helping Bray Wyatt. That would be neat because Bray Wyatt hasn't had anything until all of a sudden the Undertaker thing came up. But the final match, WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Brock Lesnar defending against Roman Reigns. It's still that's another one like Triple H and Sting and Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. Where does it go?
Well, if it goes the way WWE wants it to go, Roman Reigns is walking out with the championship.
Of course.
And Brock's walking off into the UFC.
Or, to me, and y'all could chime in on this if you want, to me though, if him and Paul talking about contracts all the time now, talking about being WWE and UFC champion, that means that something has been agreed upon because they wouldn't have let them go out there and put all that over if Vince didn't want that put over.
Now, Brock may say, I'm going to do what I want to say.
And that's true too, but Vince is the be all end all with his company. I know they've been playing around like they've been turning his mic off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, it wouldn't have got turned back on. It's kind of like CM Punk. The microphone never got turned back on. So they keep.
But he was close enough close enough to the camera where you could hear. So.
Right. But Heyman's microphone keeps getting turned back on, so it's like, okay, this is all planned out. It's not a pipe bomb thing. This is what they want to do. So to me, that means that there's been an agreement made, and maybe they put all that stuff out there to add to. They like working the fans.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
They do the Jericho thing where Jericho
What can
lies
we
to
do?
people,
Oh,
so-
we can send Brock to the UFC event. Make sure there's plenty of pictures.
Thank you. Oh, he walked out on Raw.
Yep.
Okay, we
How
never
we
saw
know? We
him.
never saw him
there.
I know.
Did we see pictures of him leaving? No,
Nope.
we didn't.
Did you see film of him leaving live action? No, you didn't.
Exactly. So I think that they may have been doing all that to pull the wool over the eyes of all the sheeple, just to get something over, because they love messing with the internet wrestling community.
Oh, they definitely do. I think Hunter's number one job.
Yes,
Because
he's
Vince
watching
doesn't
that.
understand too much. Hunter's quality is like,
Right.
let's just mention this.
Yeah. And you mentioned Chris Jericho there for a minute. Have you bought the new Chris Jericho DVD?
I have not yet, but I saw the first look on the network, and it looks
I
very
just
good.
bought it today, as a matter of fact.
Very
I
nice.
have not had a chance to watch it yet.
Because you were driving here.
Yes, I will. In the thunder, in the rain, in the lightning.
To the secret location.
That's
Cover
right.
Eye.
That's right.
Right. Top
But
rope
yes,
reality
I'm
zone.
actually looking forward to
Yeah.
the Jericho one. Aren't they doing a Daniel Bryan one as well? That's what I'm
And-
looking forward to.
And Jerry Lawler.
Nice.
Jerry
Good to
Lawler,
be the king.
Jerry Lawler needs one. Daniel Bryan, I don't think needs one because his tenure in the WWE.
Not yet.
Just like they gave Batista one. Really, Miz one. John Morrison. I mean, come on.
John Morrison was like one disc. It's like, come on, y'all.
Yeah,
Really.
exactly. You don't need to give these people who haven't accomplished enough in the WWE a DVD.
If you only have enough material to make one DVD, then something's wrong with it.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there's not enough material for that, then that means you need to wait a while. So, I mean, and that's why I didn't like all these little superstar ones where they had like 5 matches
I never
on
bought
them.
none of them.
$7.99 for 5 matches. Why?
Depends on the 5 matches. Whether or
It
not I
does,
buy 'em.
but now you got the network, you don't need to go buy them. That's why I don't buy a lot of their DVDs.
I still buy them because I like the touchy-feely and having my own connection.
Me too.
True.
And
love
I
Blu-rays.
do not subscribe to the WWE Network.
Very nice.
Not yet.
Learned something new today.
That's only because I got to keep smooching on Mrs. Gargoyle there. She's like,
Well,
now
plus
you watch enough wrestling, you have 5,362 DVDs, plus you go all over the Southeast to wrestling shows. What do you need the WWE Network for? Because I want it.
That's right.
Plus, you got buddies that I know you get to go watch stuff with, so
Yes, I
you
do.
got connections. So a lot of people like to piggyback off of the network. They'll figure out a way to stop.
I
that.
just go hang out at Payne Lord's house and watch it with him. So
There you go. But that is the WrestleMania card. I don't agree with it being a glorified Raw. I do think that a lot of times the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania is better than the actual pay-per-view.
But there should be, I mean, if you want to put matches on the pre-show, you want to put NXT matches or something like that.
you.
Every
Yes.
match we've mentioned should be on the card.
right.
You've got time. Quit talking your asses in the
Because
back
that's
so
what
much.
that's 9 matches, but one of those is on the pre-show with
Yes,
the tag match.
yeah.
So you only have really 8 matches.
And they do that all the time. 8
Every
matches.
time. Yep.
8 matches. If you get 8 matches in 3 hours, you can get 9 matches in 4.
I'm sorry, the only reason they're putting the Battle Royal on the main show is only because Andre's name's on it.
Yeah.
Because if they put that in the pre-show,
Which it should
people would
be.
be so upset about that because Andre's name's on it.
Yeah, you'd be tarnishing his legacy.
course.
Well, they should put the Battle Royal on the pre-show, and they should put an NXT title match on the pre-show.
That's what I'm willing to see. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see because I know we didn't really talk about this on here, but having an NXT wrestler is going to be in the Battle Royal.
Right, they're going to wrestle that.
So
Which will be on the network because they're doing the week's worth of stuff.
right. So those matches will be on there. I'm kind of curious to see how well they use the NXT person in the Battle Royal.
Well, if it's Adrian Neville, he will get his Red Arrow move done. I mean,
Yes.
he'll come off the top rope and he may hit it, and then somebody will toss his ass out.
Maybe.
They're also, just throwing this out here that you talk about it, maybe the 8th man in the ladder match, they could throw an NXT guy in there possibly. That would be
fun.
something, you know.
I'd much rather be an NXT guy than Sheamus.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear you.
But the way they're putting
Sami
it over,
Zayn coming, good lord, that'd be.
but the way they're putting it over
So
is that the person that wins the tournament will go in the Battle Royal, and they haven't mentioned anything about the title match. I mean, the ladder match. But that would be fun to have, especially the talent they have down there are a lot more high flying.
Because I believe a former NXT champion should fight for the Intercontinental title.
You know,
Why
Sami
not?
Zayn's not even in the. That's why I think he's hurt. We were talking about this off camera.
We'll find
I
out.
think he's hurt. Why wouldn't Sami Zayn be in that tournament if he wasn't hurt?
He may be
Instead of Tyler Breeze.
Because
he
maybe
should
like
be in there.
Gargoyle said, he's going to be an Intercontinental title ladder match.
You never know.
That would
If
be cool.
Sheamus shows up in the Battle Royal, look out, because they cannot. Why have 7?
Why have
One
7?
guy waits. Y'all the fight. I climb the ladder.
That's weird to
and
have
belt.
3 people fighting at once.
Yes.
It's like,
And one by
pair them
himself.
off.
Yeah,
pair
you
'em
pair
off.
them off. That's why it has to be even numbers.
Yes, and now we're going to talk about wrestlers who Hulk Hogan refused to lose against. We had Jake Roberts first, and then we had Mr. Perfect, and now one of his buddies, the man he's putting in the Hall of Fame just because of the money, is
Get
Macho
Hogan
Man.
out there, yes.
Yes, Macho Man Randy Savage.
it, brother.
Yeah. This sickens me, brother.
Yes, it's pretty bad. It says the Macho Man is undoubtedly one of the great performers ever to grace the squared circle.
Yes, he was.
And it's massively overdue to be seeing him finally get inducted into the Hall of Fame this year.
We're just waiting on Owen now.
I think that's one of the things we were talking about. Everybody says, well, the Hall of Fame wasn't complete until Bruno went in. Well, that's another one that wasn't complete till this person went in, is Macho Man. He needed his just due, and at least he's going in not on his own wishes, but his brother has, said, look, let's have the fans have their moment. When it comes to Randy and Hogan, the two have a long storied rivalry that reared its head at several points over the years. The thing is, the Hulkster was always the one that came out on top.
Brother.
Even in Savage's moments of personal triumph, such as him defeating Ted DiBiase for the vacant title at WrestleMania 4, Hogan was there to share the spotlight.
Sure, you gotta come up there and take his shine,
He
man.
did. Hogan was a hot spotlight stiller and still is.
Some stories say that the original plan for Savage and Hogan was to meet back at WrestleMania 2, with Hogan getting the win. Instead, Hogan shot the idea down and handpicked King Kong Bundy for him to destroy at the event, with Savage then squaring off against George the Animal Steele at the undercard of WrestleMania 2. 1987 would see Hogan supposedly be the one to suggest Savage turn face in order to fill the void, while the Hulkster takes a break to look at the movie Career. Hogan agreed to lose the title to Andre in questionable circumstances so that the belt could be put up for grabs at WrestleMania 4. It says the general word on the matter is that Hogan agreed to lose the belt to Andre purely on the basis that he'd get it back from Savage at WrestleMania 5.
Of course.
It's kind of like that Muhammad Ali thing where I'll fake losing just to get it back, that type of thing. It was also Hogan who suggested the Mega Powers team of he and Savage mainly so that he could stay in the main event despite not actually holding the title.
That is true.
After defeating Macho Man at WrestleMania 5, Hogan then shot down the proposed plan of a rematch at SummerSlam 89, instead pushing for him to team with close friend Brutus Beefcake against the team of Savage and Tiny Lester, who starred in No Holds Barred with Hulk as Zeus.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Yes, the monumental main event of one of the biggest shows of the year.
Yeah, great main event, just like that great movie. My God.
I'm telling you.
I know.
And then they had to re-release it. Like
And then
nobody wants to know.
they actually had the audacity to say that Ready to Rumble was a bad movie.
Right?
I love that movie.
That was actually a funny movie.
Oh, Lord.
By the time Royal Rumble 1990 came around, the plan was for Warrior to drop the title to Savage. Hogan spoke to the powers that be in order to suggest Slaughter as the one to beat Warrior so the American hero Hogan could then get the big win over the Iraqi sympathizing Slaughter at WrestleMania 7, which is what went down. Additionally, when the pair were in WCW, Savage's last 2 world title wins lasted 1 day apiece, and both came to an end at the hands of Hulk Hogan.
Brother!
Although the first of these 2 wins
Takes Hogan to John Cena here.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Although the first of those 2 wins did see Savage get injured during the title wins themselves on the first 2, when all is said and done, Savage, someone who was so intertwined in feuds with Hogan over the years, never once got the 1, 2, 3 on Hulkster. More than that, it's more the amount of times that Hogan looked to take Savage's spotlight or to keep himself as firmly the man,
John Cena.
despite a very real-life feud over the decades between the 2. Hogan swears the pair made up before Savage passed away. He's dead. He can't say he didn't.
Nope.
Yeah, because Hogan has always been known to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Brother!
As such, Hogan will be the one to induct Savage into the Hall of Fame. And I think that's probably, I'm not saying this against Hogan, but it's one of those things where it's like, ooh, look at me.
No.
I ruined your career, I always beat you, and I get to put you in the Hall of Fame.
The bad part about it is
Spotlight!
He's still a Savage's spotlight again.
Even in death,
Even in
he
death.
doesn't get the respect that he deserves.
Yep.
That shitbag Hogan is
I
there.
would rather the one that had his best match put him in Steamboat.
Yeah,
Steamboat could have done it.
Brother, Lee
Yeah.
should have done
Well,
it.
his brother's going to accept the award.
Well, good. At least
obviously.
Lee's going to be there, and the mother probably.
The mother might be there, yes, too. But that's the thing. It's like Steamboat should have been the one to do the speech to induct and then bring out Lanny. It doesn't make any
Even
sense.
Flair would have been a good one.
That's true, too. I bet Flair's doing the whole Japanese
I know.
stuff.
Flair's
But
doing.
I
Fujinami,
just
but
think it's
still.
like, Vince got over one on Savage still in death because Savage said, my whole family needs to go in like the Von Erichs. He said no, and apparently he got Lanny to convince himself that, no, we need to do it this way, and he went along with it. So Vince and Hogan are still putting stuff over on Macho Man. It's
It's
sad because I never
disgusting.
even realized some of this stuff, like the whole matches in WCW. I didn't even realize that.
And there's another thing too that you think about this when they were in WCW and before Hogan convinced Macho Man to join the NWO, when they were beating the crap out of Macho Man there. What did they do with him? They even had to humiliate him on the product endorsement he had and beat him with a Slim Jim. Whip him with a Slim Jim. Like, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt you. You're getting beat with a Slim Jim. I mean, Hogan, the indignities that he heaped upon Randy Savage throughout their whole wrestling careers and everything, it just sickens me. I don't care how many Hulk Hogan fans there are. There's a big thing on the Cult of Kayfabe Facebook page. They were, you rate Hogan 1 to 5, 5 being legend, 1 being shit. Big argument going on. And, you know, for all the Hogan fans out there, I respect you for your opinion, your love and support for your favorite guy. But Hogan is a shitbag, bar none. Never looked out for anybody but himself.
Yep.
And end of story. End of story for me. It disgusts me that he's going to be the one to induct Macho Man into the Hall of Fame. It's just makes me want to vomit.
And being that it's Savage, and Hogan,
Again.
I'm afraid it's going to be the last one.
Last one or what?
The last inductee will be Savage.
Oh, being the main person to go in.
Yeah.
But see, with being if you've ever looked at the Hall of Fame, the dead person never goes in last. He's never the main
Hogan
attraction.
inducting and Savage.
That is true, but I think the Clique kind of overrules Hogan though. With Diesel going in, kind of like Shawn going in,
They haven't mentioned Diesel
and
yet.
Razor Monday night.
Yeah,
And that's another no-talent piece of shit who has no business being in the Hall of Fame. Him and Hogan are cut from the same cloth. Two big, no-talent pieces
That
of
looked
shit.
out for themselves.
Looked out for themselves, would stab anybody in the back. The only legitimate skills they had were mic skills, even though I will give Hogan props for, if you look at some of his matches in Japan before Vince McMahon got a hold of him, he at least still had ability then. But once he came back in the red and yellow and all that.
But let me put you this way though.
Boom, boom, boom.
Let's think about it this way.
Leg drop.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Three moves of doom.
Think about this. Think about this with Hogan when he became the NWO. Who did he do the big move to? He did it to Macho Man.
Mm-hmm.
But think about the 3 people standing there. Do you think it's one of those things where, of course, Hogan knew the 2 of them were better, and them 2 knew piggybacking off of him would help? I think they were all 3 standing there and doing one of these things to each other at the same time. They were all stabbing all 3 of each other in the back.
Sure.
I think it was all backbiting the whole time. It's like, look, we don't like, because even, the other night, the Madison Square Garden thing, they put over Hogan, and the NWO was there with Nash and Hall.
Yes.
First time the NWO music was ever played at Madison Square Garden. The 2 of them were there. It's all about the money, because I've seen and heard interviews where they both said they couldn't stand Hogan and they couldn't stand being around him. It's all about the buck.
Well, either if it's Savage and Hogan in the last, or Nash, Hogan will be out there.
Yeah,
because it's the NWO
He
thing
will
there
come
too.
out.
Yeah,
he will make his presence known.
But I guarantee, I bet my life on he'll be out for both of them.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No doubt about it.
X-Pac will be out there because of Nash, and Hall will be there, and Shawn and Triple H. I could see Hogan coming out there too.
Yes.
And then how they said, oh, we're putting Hogan up there, and they put a banner up there. The very next night, the banner was gone.
Yeah.
They said, it'll be up there with the rest of history. They took it down, people.
Well, speaking of Hall of Fame, we have our top rope reality Hall of Fame.
Yes, we do.
And
this
this year,
time is
our
totally
special
different.
guest has added 5 names to our list.
And last year was only 2 people.
Last year's was only 2. I did 1. Justin did 1.
Yes, we did Sting and Flair. This time we decided to do kind of. There you go.
I
Can't
did.
hardly see. Kind of the way WWE does it with sometimes they do manager, female, tag team, main eventer, and a deceased person.
Right.
So that's kind of how we went to it. No, we're not doing celebrities ever
No.
in our Hall of Fame. So with you being a special guest, we will let you go first.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Now, you can't hardly read it, but you probably remember the list.
Absolutely. Are we going from main eventer first, or are we going to do it in
No.
the order that we have it, or you want to do it for female first, or how you want to do
Whatever, how you want to do it.
You can do it the way you
want
want to, or you could do it the WE way of the main eventer last, or however you want to do it.
Okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead. We'll go from the female
Okay.
first. My choice was Megumi Kudo, a very talented, high-profile female Japanese wrestler, very famous in FMW over in Japan. She had it all: good looks, athletic ability, charisma, and for someone, and I highly recommend that you watch some of her matches on YouTube or FMW DVDs if you can get some. The women in this promotion were as good or better than 80% of the men wrestlers in the United States.
Nice.
I say that without any unabashed shame or bias. These women would get out there; their skills are just as good. And Megumi Kudo, she had the whole package, and you know, and she would bleed too. It's something else. If you watch the FMW, they were the Japanese ECW hardcore version over there. The women bled just as much as the men, and this was
I saw a picture of her doing like a barbed wire match
Yes.
or something like that, exploding.
Yes,
things
I
and
mean
stuff.
they are insane over there. Not just the hardcore stuff. She could wrestle. So I highly recommend that you check out some FMW, whether it's on
We had to do the
YouTube.
same thing. We had to go check her out. I was like, I have no idea who this is, but I
But
got
she
educated.
is now into the Tightrope Rally Hall of Fame.
Yes,
now.
she is.
Takes her rightful place. With
Yes.
Sting and Flair, who were the first two.
Yes. Next.
Oh, I
Yes,
thought you guys were going to
no,
go
no,
here.
no,
Oh,
you're
we're
fine.
going like,
Yes.
okay. Manager, we decided to do next. For me, you know, there's, you know, several managers. Any one of these is worthy, but because I'm such a huge Four Horseman mark, James J. Dillon, he's my guy, got to go in. Good mouthpiece, actual manager that took care of Horseman's business affairs
In real life.
in
yes.
real life, you know, freeing them up to be the wild, you know, money-making, partying stable of talented individuals that they were. And not only just as a good real business manager, a good manager, you know, as a wrestler and mouthpiece, he would also be involved, and he was also a wrestler beforehand. He was in the War Games getting his ass beat
Yes, he
too.
was.
He's
you
always
know?
the one to get beat up in those. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he's the guy that did the less matches and taking the biggest ass beating. So James J. Dillon, whoa, baby! Diamonds are forever, and so are the Four Horsemen. So he's my guy.
And he rightfully deserves to be in.
Yes. And he goes in, and Flair's already in it, so that makes it very appropriate.
Yes, as are the Horsemen. Tag team. Now, once again, I'm a bizarre individual. My wrestling tastes run the gamut from all, you know, promotions and styles, as you can tell by my pick of Megumi Kudo for the female, which 90% of the people that will see this will say, who the hell is that?
Right.
You know, so for me, tag team, I picked from the World Class Championship Wrestling Von Erich franchise, gentleman Chris Adams and gorgeous Gino Hernandez. When Chris Adams turned heel, and I mean the fans there in Texas, they went ape shit, and then he teamed up with Gino Hernandez. They were an effective team. They well-oiled machine, athletic, you know, could cut promos. I mean, they had it all. They had it all, and sadly, they didn't get the national notoriety per se as I thought they deserved because they stayed in World Class Championship Wrestling, and then the untimely death of Gino Hernandez.
Yeah, they both were gone too soon.
Yes, and then shortly thereafter, Chris Adams passed away, and too young, too soon. I believe they could have accomplished a lot more on the world stage given the chance.
That leads to your most controversial pick.
Yes, I love controversy, and as he stated before, controversy is cash and all that. For our deceased inductee of the Hall of Fame, and I make no bones about it, the crippler Chris Benoit. I don't care what you say, what your thoughts and beliefs were on the tragedy of what happened there. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not a policeman. I'm not passing judgment or anything. It was a very sad, tragic situation that happened. The death of Nancy, his child, and then ultimately himself. We're basing this strictly on wrestling credentials.
Absolutely.
And you cannot deny the wrestling credentials of Chris Benoit.
Right.
Done it all, been there from over in Japan to ECW, to WCW, then to WWE. He's won every major belt, tag team belt, world title belt, cruiserweight belts, Japanese belts. You know, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. If it's a wrestling Hall of Fame, you should be judged on what you accomplished in the ring. And I am in no way, shape, or form taking away and diminishing the tragic events that he was involved with, involving the 3 deaths, you know. But he's the crippler.
It's about his career.
Exactly.
That's the way
exactly.
It's
And I realize it's controversial, and I'll probably catch flack and heat from people, but I really don't give a shit. I'm a Chris Benoit fan. I'll be the first one to say it. I'm proud to say it. I have DVD, the Chris Benoit DVD. I've got Crippler T-shirts. Wear them proudly. Don't care what anybody thinks. You know.
Well, it's the same thing about, and I'm going to interrupt you on this, but it's
Quite
the
all right.
same thing about Eddie Guerrero. He died from a heart attack, which was caused by years of drug abuse. But yet we glorify the fact that he went in.
Right, and then,
That just doesn't make sense.
Mr. Hennig, Mr. Kurt Hennig, Mr.
Hennig,
Perfect
same
died
thing.
cocaine overdose.
Yep.
Mike Awesome. There's a million wrestlers talented that have achieved careers that died from drug abuse or they've been involved in all sorts of
Yep.
shady. Lex Luger. Come on, I'm sorry, I don't care what you say. I believe he killed Miss Elizabeth. I'll say it right here.
There you go.
Say what you will or had something to do with it.
But I think he'll go in the Hall of Fame, though.
Yeah, and they're going to put that, and there's another no-talent piece of shit. They're going to put him in the Hall of Fame. Really? But it is what it is, and I think Chris Benoit deserves to go in the WWE Hall of Fame, which will never happen.
No,
but
So
he's in
he'll
the top rope
he'll
reality.
be in the Top Rope Hall of Fame,
There you
which
go.
is even more impressive.
Exactly.
And finally, last but not least, main event, world champion type caliber individual. I chose AWA heavyweight champion legend Nick Bockwinkel. Another talented guy who did not get the due recognition I believe he deserved, strictly for the fact that he stayed loyal to the AWA.
Yes, that's
He
right.
was the AWA's version of Ric Flair.
Yep.
He was.
He was blonde haired. He could cut a promo. He could go
Best.
60-minute matches. Class, talent. He had it all. Another person I recommend you go check out some AWA stuff.
Yep.
Either online, buy the AWA DVDs or whatever you can do. I think Nick Bockwinkel deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Check him out. A very highly underrated talent.
True.
And I believe he deserves to be in, and so he's here in the Top Rope Hall of Fame. So, as I said, I believe you should check out some videos on Megumi Kudo and Nick Bockwinkel, for those of you who are not serious wrestling aficionados such as we are, and you can check out some video on Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez too,
Right.
and then you can base your opinions and thoughts and think about my choices.
And I think, honestly, if people are watching this, they're more than likely, when they see that, when you say Nick Bockwinkel, they're going to go with the most uneducated guess and say, "You mean the WCW commissioner?"
Yeah.
I mean, come on,
I
people.
forgot he was the WCW.
He was. I mean, I was watching back in them days, and I mean, yes, he did well. He was the Jack Tunney of WCW. I get all that, but he was a very, very accomplished and a better promo than almost anybody. I mean, Flair did the whole crazy promos, but he was the most articulate promo there ever
Right.
was. He said words that pissed you off because you didn't know what they meant.
Exactly.
He was well above his time on that because you didn't know what the dictionary meant with that one. I was like,
Yeah, you'd be
that's-
digging it out, trying to see what is he talking
Exactly.
about now.
But I'll go over my 5. The woman who I think it's long overdue. She should be in the WWE Hall of Fame already, and because I think it's because she's so bizarre. She may never go in, but she made people look.
She may go in.
She may for her accomplishments, but they're taking too long. When people like Trish and Lita have already gone in and they skipped over this person, I don't like it because this person helped make Bam Bam Bigelow look better. Just being married to Gangrel made him look better. I mean, all the things that she did. I mean, the weird gold dust stuff was a little strange, but it worked, I guess, for the time being in the Attitude Era. And that woman is Luna Vachon. I think she definitely deserves to go in. The manager, not because he managed Hulk Hogan, but the other people he managed. It was the other people he managed, and that would be Jimmy Hart as the manager.
Yeah, see, you managed a lot of it, and he still can do it
He
today.
could do it
Yes.
today. He still looks exactly the same when I was growing up.
Yes.
I mean, he's that old, but still, my gosh, he still looked good.
My good friend Snowman Jones met him this weekend and took a picture with him down in Tampa.
Very
And
nice.
he looks just as he always did.
As always,
The,
yes.
the ageless wonder, the mouth of the heart, South, Jimmy Hart.
That's right. Number 3 is my tag team, and a lot of people say, well, one of them needs to go in as a singles main eventer, but it was towards the end of WCW, and I don't think that. I think his attitude and I think that the way he carried himself as the main eventer will tarnish that. And I don't think he should go in as a main eventer, and that is the Steiner brothers. I don't think Scott will go in by himself.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I don't see him going in by himself.
He was crazy at that point. And then my deceased person, which his wife needs to shut her mouth and move on with her life and let the fans have their moment, just like Lanny is letting the fans have their moment with Macho Man, but it's all about the money. I get that. She's got plenty of money now because of what happened, but the deceased person for mine is Owen Hart. He definitely needs to go in.
Yes.
I mean, to me, he's better than Bret Hart was. That's my humble opinion. He's more entertaining. He did more of the high-flying stuff, and he was a technical wrestler, too. And to me, he had a better personality. Bret was kind of like...
Yeah, Bret was.
Yeah, he was
definitely.
just...
Bret will readily admit, if you watch his, WWE produced DVD, that's why he used to wear the little funky, shiny sunglasses, because he didn't have confidence in his mic skills and cutting promos until he got better.
Right, absolutely.
So
he knew who the better brother was, but Owen never got his just due, in my opinion. And then the main eventer to go in, which goes along with your J.J. Dillon and goes along with Flair being in our Top Rope Reality Hall of Fame, the main eventer for me is Dusty Rhodes.
Make a dream.
Make a dream, if you will.
I've dined with kings and queens and ate poking beans, and yeah, baby, son of a poke kept his plumber.
And now Mike Hogan's.
My top 5. The woman, of course, she is one of the greatest women's champions of all time. The fabulous Moolah.
Absolutely.
She's not in the WWE Hall of Fame yet?
She's in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Well,
But we don't go by who's already in there.
right. Okay.
Yes.
She's already in there, but we go by, because we only have 2 people in ours so
Right,
far, so
yes.
we have a large
So we
amount of people
decided to go with
Expand.
5.
That's
yes.
why you expanded the categories.
Yes,
Okay, I got
exactly.
you.
Yes,
I got
yes.
you. All right. Because she would have been one of my obvious choices too, but I just decided to be a little bit different.
I like how you were different on yours, though.
Oh, yes.
It gives a wide variety of people. So,
My manager, of course, one of the greatest of all times, and next to J.J. Dillon.
my opinion, the greatest.
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
No
Only
doubt.
reason
I
I
mean,
didn't
he
pick him was
could
because he
do-
picked him first.
Right.
Everything, yeah, say first choice.
He got the first choice there.
I mean, the man could do everything. He could get his ass beat. He could make you laugh.
He put a suit on.
I mean,
He have a weasel going on there.
he would do everything. He hated that. But he was
He
one of the
enjoyed
greatest.
it. He enjoyed the fans doing
and-
that, though.
I hate the condition he's in.
Yes, so sad.
Because he's gave so much to the business.
Especially what the
still does.
disease took away from him.
Yes.
Was his voice.
Yes.
What made him who he was. And I mean, he'll be at WrestleCade this year. I hope so many people go to support him because I just
Probably,
feel
yes.
so bad.
If you're going to go to WrestleCade,
Yeah.
yeah, you better make a beeline for his table
Yes.
first because you're going to be there a while.
Yes.
They won't be like
absolutely.
Brutus Beefcake and just walk up.
Right.
Retard.
On my tag team, one of the great tag teams.
It's almost all
I
the
was
horsemen are on it.
glad when they made it to WWE. They were managed by Bobby Heenan,
Yes, so how appropriate. Yeah.
the Brain Busters, part of the Four Horsemen,
So now you
Arn
got-
Anderson and Tully Blanchard.
Absolutely. Another fantastic tag team.
I wish they would have been more WWE Tag Team Champions than just the twice, I think it was. Not many times.
Well, they didn't stay long enough.
I
They didn't
know.
stay long. They almost did a tenure like Flair did the first time he
Right.
went. It's very short. But, with JJ, and we already had Flair, and now you got Anderson and Tully, the ones that deserve to go in went in because
Yes.
Ole gets on my nerves, but that's just me.
But he deserves to.
I can see
I
it.
don't
but
have
As does Barry
even,
Windham.
well, see, even
Right.
Flair said in his Hall of Fame speech, his favorite horseman was the one with Barry, not with Ole.
Right.
So,
I
agree.
think, and I just think that Barry Windham overall is better anyway.
Yes, he's underrated.
Yes,
He is.
very underrated.
He got just totally screwed over when it came to WWE.
So
the
sad. The
Widowmaker.
Stalker and the Widowmaker and all
Yeah.
that.
Terrible. My deceased is Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, former AWA champion, multi-time Intercontinental champion, should have been world champion,
U.S. champion he was.
U.S. champion, but
Right.
He should have been world
he
champion in
should
either
at least
promotion.
have been world champion once.
Yes.
But for some
I mean, you
people,
can consider AWA the world champion. They work
Yes,
all the world title, but
Right.
no. Hogan was keeping him down as well.
of course.
Everywhere he's at, he's got his foot on somebody's throat. That piece of shit. Brother!
brother.
Even though you share his last name.
Yeah, well, that's all right. And my main eventer.
No, he stole your name to
Yeah, he
use for his
stole mine,
gimmick
that's
name.
There you go.
And my main eventer, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Of course.
He has to be in.
No doubt
So
about
much
it.
that he's done, where he's gone. I mean, and where he not even part of wrestling, he's still very successful. He
Absolutely.
what saved WWE, him and Vince.
Yes, and he's the reason why I listen to any podcast, because I don't consider this podcast a YouTube show, but podcast to me, he's the one that has the most entertaining podcast
Yes.
over Jericho and over Jim Ross. and I mean, and he had no experience in any of that, and he's done so well with that. And then his different TV shows that he hosts and everything, he's done a great job. He knew that he was not going to have the Hollywood movie career that Rock was going to have,
Right.
so he's done Hollywood, but it's almost all direct to DVD.
Yeah.
Which
Which
really
is great.
surprises me because he
was-
plays a perfect villain.
Yes,
I love that movie, The Condemned, where they're on the island and all that. That was a great movie.
but it's funny. Almost all of his movies, he's a good guy in all of them. But that's the type of person he was. He's bad in being good. You know,
Oh, yeah.
he's always a bad guy.
As
but he's
popular
actually
as
good.
it is, you thought his movies would be
Better
bigger.
than The
Right.
Rock,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Because he was bigger. In my opinion, he was bigger than The Rock in WWE.
Oh, yes.
And WWE's done.
And you
he's
could
done
throw the
more.
same thing out there with Hogan. You thought his movies would be good, with the exception of his Thunder Lips appearance in the Rocky 3
Right,
movie.
and that's only because
All his
Stallone.
Yeah, and every movie Hogan's ever been in sucked ass.
Yes, it was
well,
bombs.
he had the choice to say yes or no on those scripts, and he picked those movies all for the money. He didn't care how well
Sure.
they did,
No.
as long as he got that paycheck.
Typical Hogan.
That's it.
Yeah. Getting the money, money, money.
That's right.
Brother.
Well, that is it for this episode. Episode 51. We want to thank you again for coming on our show.
It's been very fun.
It
We'll
has
have to do
been
this
very
more
fun.
often.
Absolutely.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you so very much.
Thank you for having me as a guest, man. It was my pleasure to come here.
And for all you haters out there, we got him.
And keep on hating. Keep on hating, because at least you're talking.
Yeah.
That's
So,
right. Any publicity is good publicity.
That is
Yes,
true,
most
because
definitely.
controversy creates cash.
Absolutely.
That's what we do here. And next week is going to be huge, the week of WrestleMania.
Right. Big WrestleMania week.
Yes, it's going to be episode 52, 1 whole year
Whole year of this.
of doing this show. And we've gone all kinds of places in less than a year. It's just amazing to reflect on that kind of thing, of how much we've done. It's just been so much fun. I mean, already having guest stars on here and going to all these different places we've gone to, we've been blessed
We have
doing
been.
this show. That's
Which-
for sure.
I'm hoping I can connive you guys into a few road trips and expose you to some other promotions too. You know.
Oh, absolutely. We want to go. We want to go where the good action is.
Oh,
So
yes.
we want all the experiences we can get with this, and anything to help the show is what matters.
And that's the one thing. If you want to experience it, you got to be willing to put the mileage in.
That is true.
You know. And you guys are working guys like me, so it's not always economically feasible to go.
Sure.
It's just all a matter if you plan it in advance. Just like I have a bunch of people that always used to talk to me about, why do you go to all these shows all over the place? One, because I love wrestling.
Amen.
You know. Two, I like to see and expose myself, just like my professional taste on the indie level. I like to expose myself, and on the case of Front Row Fanatics, expose the fans to different shows.
Right.
You know, there are always shows within a several-hour drive that you can go to, and I realize the fans, just like us, we work. But if you know a good show's coming, you get together with a group of your friends,
Right.
you plan
Carpool.
it out, you carpool, and you split the cost of the gas
Absolutely.
and a motel room or whatever, and you would be surprised at what you can see
There.
and who you can meet
Yep.
at these indie shows.
There's more out there than the WWE. That is for sure.
Absolutely. You know, I firmly believe that you should give other promotions a shot. You know, for you big time wrestling fans, check out Ring of Honor, check out New Japan, TNA, whether you know you like or you've heard bad about them. Chikara is another good one.
Right.
That's completely different. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. You know, get out there and do a little bit of research. You know, CZW if you like some deathmatch type stuff. You know, I mean, there's a lot out there. If you just put, like anything else, if you put a little effort into it, you'd be surprised what you can see. And the world does not revolve around Vince McMahon and the mighty WWE. Now, do they provide us with some good entertainment and good merchandise and stuff? Sure. I won't take that away from them. They are far down on my totem pole of
Right.
in pecking orders of shows to watch. But, you know, it's wrestling and I love it. So go out there on the internet, check out some of these other promotions, and see what's out there. You know, if you love wrestling, it's worth the time and the effort, just like it is for road trips. So,
Well said.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
And Mike Hogan and Justin Carter will see you on episode 52. And hopefully we will see you down the road
you shall. You
In year 2 of
in
Top
year
Rope.
2 of Top Rope Reality. That's so
Yes.
true.
Absolutely. Before you put on the siren, I want to give a shout out to my man Sergio at MrMaskman.com, where I pick up a lot of my masks from. He does really great, high quality work. I did not break out my brand new one yet, but it's a pro grade style mask. If you want good, high quality masks at a variety of price ranges, check out MrMaskman.com. He does a great job. He's a good guy, you know, and he always, you know, he's done a lot for me, and so I want to give a shout out to him if I can.
Oh, most
Absolutely.
definitely. Most definitely. We'll make sure we put it up on the screen too. So.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, all right. Well, I appreciate you again for coming on our show,
Thank you for having me.
and we'll see you next week on
Yes.
52, our big
52.
WrestleMania week show. Oh, good gracious!
Yes.
Are we starting planning now for WrestleMania?
Right.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yes. And I want to thank everyone out there for watching us this week. And we'll see you next week for right here at Top Row Reality on the YouTube. I'm Mike Hogan.
And I'm Justin Carter.
And I'm the Gargoyle, and if you like the Front Row Fanatics, watch these two guys. Check out Top Rope Reality as they grow, and go out there like us to help spread the word about wrestling, something that they both love and are passionate about. Check out Top Rope Reality.
Thank you again, and we'll see you next week.